women had information, healthcare professionals were educated, they could join the dots, but it's not worked because there are so many people that need help. Over the last 20 years, no one's been interested in hormones. It's sort of just been left and ignored. We need to think about all doctors knowing about hormones.
Modern medicine has progressed so much has progressed in science, but the topic of perimenopause and menopause is still not that actively spoken about. Why is this subject so ignored?
So, firstly, there's very little funding in women's research anyway. I mean, when I qualified in 1994 as a doctor, that was the first year that women were allowed to go in medical studies because our hormones make it too complicated. So studies have always been done on men for different drugs, which is obviously wrong. But then also, just women's health in general has been under-researched. But these natural hormones don't have big pharmaceutical companies behind them. When you look at a lot of research that's done in the UK and worldwide, it's funded by pharmaceutical companies. HRT is relatively cheap, and we know what the hormones are. We don't need to make new ones. We don't need to make new drugs. So there's no incentive, if you like, for them to do more research. So it's always not a priority. And over the last few years, it's become worse, and people have become confused. But since a big study, the WHI, the Women's Health Initiative study, came out 23 years ago, it made people really scared of hormones.
So
not just women, but also healthcare practitioners. So a lot of doctors have just had no training about menopause, about hormones, about the effects on their body. So most doctors I meet in the UK just say, no, I know nothing about HRT, and they think that's acceptable, which is wrong.
So true. And that's why that leads to my next question. You've trained about 37,000 practitioners. What was your motivation to do that?
So I really believe that every woman, regardless of her socioeconomic status or her background or her ethnicity, should be able to access evidence-based treatment in medicine, and that includes hormone treatment. So I developed the Balance app so women could be empowered with knowledge and information. But then I developed the healthcare professional program through Newson Education because I wanted doctors, nurses, pharmacists, healthcare professionals to be able to access really easy education. They could do it online. They didn't have to go and do a big course. And it was easy and also very practical. Because medicine is a science and an art. The science is knowing all the scientific literature and information. But the art is individualizing care and knowing how to listen, how to treat, how to talk to patients. So the course combines, it's quite unique, it combines everything together. And I was a bit naive, and I guess I still am a bit, because I thought that if women had information and doctors and healthcare professionals were educated, then they could join the dots and there would be no need for my clinic. But it's not worked because there are so many people that need help.
I come from a country, India, which is blessed with such amazing doctors because our medical system has a very rigorous way of churning out very good doctors. There is no shortage of doctors, but there is a shortage of perimenopause qualified, where their knowledge curve is up, those type of doctors. What would your message to the doctors in India be?
Firstly, doing menopause work and work for women's hormones is the most rewarding job I've ever done as a doctor. And I've done lots of jobs, but to have patients where you can actually help them feel better and improve their future health, and all of us in my clinic will tell you the same, because it's transformational medicine. You know, the women that come back and they thank you because they've given them their life back. They feel back to normal, their partners, their jobs. You know, it's incredible. But then I see their blood work improves, their blood pressure improves, their future health is improving. There's nothing else in medicine that can do that. So it's such a privilege to be able to do this work. But the other thing is that we shouldn't be giving menopause to gynecologists. I know it's the same in India as well, but it feels really unnatural. Gynecologists are trained in the organs of reproduction. So the womb, the ovaries, the cervix, the vagina. Right, so I'm 55, I've had a hysterectomy, so I don't have a womb, I don't have a cervix, but I'm menopausal.
Right.
Like, why would I go and see a gynecologist? Because I've already told you the hormones go on every cell in our body. They're made in our brain, also our adrenal glands. So why is it a gynecologist rather than a brain doctor? It doesn't make sense, but because over the last 20 years, no one's been interested in hormones. Like, it's sort of just been left and ignored. So we need to think about medical student training. We need to think about all doctors knowing about hormones. Because if I said to you, I've been a GP for 25 years and I didn't know anything about asthma, you'd probably say, well, what sort of doctor are you?
Exactly.
And I do know about asthma, don't worry. But lots of doctors say, I know nothing about hormones. Well, we're talking about half the population who are women, but the other half are men, and they have hormones. So, testosterone in men is a hugely under-researched field, and actually under-resourced. A lot of men have low testosterone too, so it's just madness, actually.
So, we in India, and when I speak to people across the world, we actually look up to the United Kingdom because we feel that one country has taken huge strides in menopausal care. What do you think changed? What happened in the UK that led to that revolution? I know there was a Louise Newson there, a Dr. Louise Newson, sorry. But what really led to that revolution? And what can we take from there and then try and apply that in our country?
As a doctor, I've worked in quite unconventional ways because I've done all the traditional things with the training and the education and respectfully going to Menopause Society meetings, but it hadn't worked fast enough for me because a lot of them, it was the same lectures, the same talks, the same people, and I thought we've got to make it different. So I think what I've worked really hard at is to empower the women, because they're the ones that are being harmed by this. So allowing my social media, my podcasts, my Balance app has really exploded quite a lot actually over the last 8 to 10 years. And women don't keep quiet.
And they shouldn't.
And they shouldn't. So, I've not spent big money on marketing, but the women have a voice. And it's a voice that's not been heard for so long. It's been suppressed and ignored. I'm quite vocal. I'm quite out there. It's impossible to know. If you talk to other people in the UK, they'll say, well, it's because of something that they've done or someone else has done. And of course, we're all doing things in our own ways. But I think it's just exploded quicker because women have got it quicker and they've had access to more information. I'm not shy on trying to help my patients in the best way. There's been so much reservation. And what happens is when people are scared of something, they retreat. So when doctors are scared of a treatment like HRT, that they have been scared and many still are, rather than trying to work out more about it, they retreat and don't prescribe. And that's what worries me because that's harming women. Whereas I'm quite inquisitive, I'm very scientific, and I'll always keep asking the questions. And any uncertainty I'll share with patients. But some doctors don't like women and their patients being part of their consultation, but I think it's really important.
God bless you for that. One fact that I hear in my conversations around the world is that women of color, it seems, get menopause a little earlier. Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hesitating because there's so little research.
Right.
And because even the way menopause is defined as a year since the last period, like it's just rubbish because a lot of women, like me, have had a hysterectomy. How do you know when your menopause really is? So any data is quite vague. But we do know that certainly in India, the average age of menopause is younger than in the UK.
Exactly.
It's probably early to mid 40s actually.
They say 46 in India, so.
But as I said to you earlier, I don't even like defining menopause because you're missing out on all those hormonal changes that can occur 10 years or so before periods stop. So people can still have regular periods and have hormonal changes. So there are a lot of women in India and the same in UK in their 20s and 30s and early 40s who will be having hormonal changes. And if they're only waiting for their periods to stop, then they're suffering for far too long.
So true.